We got some Miami Dolphins free agency news and rumors to discuss on Kader Kohou and Calais Campbell. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. And we'll start with Kader Kohou because it seems like Kohou may actually return to the Dolphins in 2025. The former undrafted free agent has made himself a key piece of this Dolphins secondary over the past 2.5 seasons, and there is a hole at the nickel corner spot currently on the roster, so could Kohou return? It is very important to note when discussing Kader's free agency and where he stands, he is a restricted free agent. That's important for a lot of reasons because it could dissuade other teams from signing him because Miami will ultimately have a chance to match, and the Dolphins may actually get him cheaper, and we'll explain why and what that price tag could be here in just a second. But make sure you are subscribed and make sure you have your notifications turned on and are part of the Noti gang. There's only 9.6 thousand of you out of the 67,000 that have your notifications turned on, 14.3%. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click those notifications, turn to all, not just personalized, so you never miss a piece of Dolphins content because we're putting out 2 videos daily, and anytime news or rumors drop, we have you covered. But before we talk specifically about Kader, I did want to showcase where the cornerback room stands right now entering the offseason. Now, the Dolphins do have to make a decision on Kendall Fuller. I would bring him back, but his contract in 25 is non-guaranteed, last year of his deal. And it's possible that Miami moves off of Fuller, but I thought he was good enough in the games that he played. Injury history is a concern. Plus, you don't really have a guy waiting in the wings to be that other boundary corner, so I'd keep those two as your outside guys. But the nickel slot needs to be filled. That's where Kader Kohou has been over the past 2 seasons. Could he be returning? Well, Barry Jackson had a key piece on what Kohou would get in free agency if he returned to Miami. Barry said that as a restricted free agent this offseason, he will be cheap to keep. He would be due $3.2 million if the Dolphins make him a right of first refusal offer. And with his potential hit this next season being $3.2 million, I think you have to do that considering how good he was in coverage this past season. And he did have a down second year in 2023 under Vic Fangio, but a lot of people struggled under Fangio in Miami, regardless of the reasons you believe. But Kohou bounced back in a big way. Was actually one of the best coverage corners in the nickel, in the slot, all season long. Had a great QB rating, when targeted 76.0. Was actually the best on the Dolphins team when you look at the cornerback room. Had a pair of interceptions as well. He was really, really good in coverage. The only reason why on a video last week I said I would be wary of bringing Kohou back is because he is a horrific tackler. That's the only issue that I have with Kader Kohou. He missed 14 tackles last season. He had a missed tackle rate of 23.3%, which is just astronomically high to miss 23.3% of your tackles. And PFF also knew that, as his tackling grade was 28.4. And we know that the Dolphins have had issues in this realm, right? We've talked about it in depth how at times this Dolphins defense is soft and can't win in tough weathered games. You look at the game on Thursday Night Football on Thanksgiving against the Green Bay Packers when Green Bay ran up and down the field on this Dolphins defense and the Dolphins missed 20 tackles or so. This secondary was a main part of that, not being able to help step up in the run game and make things happen, or by allowing a catch to 5 yards within the line of scrimmage, and then they would break that tackle and make it 10, 12 yards. It was frustrating all year long, and that was the one area where Kohou struggles. Maybe it's not his fault. It's not like he doesn't try, but he is just such a smaller statured corner that it's tough to bring down some of these physical running backs and other wide receivers that he was forced to cover. But if tackling is the only issue with Kader and you're bringing him back for that cheap $3 million price tag, well, then you seriously have to consider making him a Dolphin once again in 2025. But what is your thoughts? Before I give you my final thoughts on Kader Kohou, let me know what you guys think. Do you want to re-sign Kader Kohou in the offseason for the Miami Dolphins? Type S if you want to sign. Type P if you want to let him go into NFL free agency. If you have not been able to tell, I have been alluding to it the entire show. For only $3.2 million, heck yeah, I am bringing him back. And I'm changing my stance because on a video last week, make sure you subscribe for other content like this one. I said that I would not bring Kohou back because of the tackling issue. But now that I've gotten a full, clearer picture on what he would be getting paid in free agency, well, it's hard not to bring back someone as productive as Kohou in coverage for that price tag, especially when you look at other needs for the Miami Dolphins. Don't make nickel corner something you need to do in free agency or the draft when you can bring back someone that knows your scheme system for only $3 million. And he was actually really good last year. We showed his coverage stats and his tackling stats, but when you compare him to other corners in the NFL, and this is just at the nickel, when they are in the slot at nickel corner, how are they graded? And I filtered down some of the stats to show only the true nickel corners, the ones that did it the most. There's 22 guys that qualified for 50% of about, I think it was 600 snaps. And he ranks in the top half in almost every category. Was number 5 in QB rating while in the nickel. Number 1 in yards allowed. Top 10 in touchdowns allowed. And when you look at snaps per reception and snaps per target, he ranks 6th out of 22 in both of those numbers as well. There just simply will not be better value for the nickel corner position than Kader Kohou at $3.2 million. That is why I want to bring him back now with that right of refusal first offer. Miami should absolutely bring Kohou back and make this cornerback room, which, by the way, ranked top 5 in the NFL in yards per attempt and yards per game against the pass. I think they should bring back the entire secondary regarding this cornerback room. Safety room needs to be changed, but Ramsey, Fuller, Kohou is your top 3 guys. Yeah, I'm cool with that being the room next season. All right, we're going to get to Calais Campbell here in just a second, but I got to give a shout-out to Prize Picks, the sponsor on today's show, the #1 daily fantasy sports platform. And with the big game just around the corner, don't miss out on the last football game of the season, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. Prize Picks is also giving away a free pick for the game. Patrick Mahomes more than half a passing yard. Pair that up with one more stat projection, and you can win real cash. And if you do win cash, Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So when you get your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. You can also play in other sports leagues, basketball, hockey, college, professional. It does not matter. I've got an entry. You see a little cheeky $9.75 entry here because they gave me some promo funds, by the way, which you can take advantage of some of their specials to get promo funds. I got Bam, Hero, Maxi, all more than in tonight's Heat Sixers game. Join me and millions of others playing Prize Picks on a daily basis. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, it's time to talk about the veteran Calais Campbell because could he be returning to the Miami Dolphins? He signed a 1-year vetman deal last May and was one of the most key pieces on that Dolphins defense all season long, which kind of just showcased how much he still has left in the tank. And I know Miami wants him back. It's all about if Campbell wants to actually return. But Barry Jackson confirmed that the Dolphins would like to bring Campbell back by dropping this little nugget. It would likely cost more than the $2 million he was playing on last season. Campbell did say he will make a decision by March, which is coming up in just about 3.5-4 weeks, and that the Dolphins would be a team he strongly considers if he ultimately returns to the NFL for another season. And if he doesn't return to the NFL, he would be going out with a really good season. Played in all 17 games for the Miami Dolphins at 37 years old. Truly just an astonishing accomplishment for the big man inside. Had 5 sacks, had 12 TFLs, was awesome. I mean, he was quite literally the second most productive interior defensive lineman for Miami, and I would probably put him as the 3rd best D lineman. I'd probably say Zach Sealer was our best defensive player last season, and then you could probably debate between who was better, Chop Robinson or Calais Campbell on that defensive line from there on out. But Campbell was awesome to watch. He just was a great mentor and a veteran inside that locker room as well. And if you could get him Probably not as cheap as what you had him last year, but a 1 year, $5 million, 1 year, $6 million deal, I would be absolutely all in. But he is 37, 38 years old, and he might retire from the National Football League. And I need you guys to predict it for me. What say you? Make the call. Will Calais Campbell retire from the NFL this offseason? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I hope he doesn't retire because, one, he's just a great ambassador for the game, great locker room guy for whatever team he goes to. But I also hope he returns to the Miami Dolphins because the defensive line is something that we've talked about, but probably not enough of because the Dolphins only have one defensive lineman on the roster. That is Zach Sealer. Now, Chop Robinson and Mo Kamara, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, they're all on the linebacker room and the edge group. That's kind of how I label them. But when you talk about interior defensive linemen, it's Zach Sealer and absolutely no one. Benito Jones is a free agent. Campbell is. Deshaun Hand is. Those four were your four main interior guys. And then my also question will be, is if Calais Campbell does return to the NFL, does he believe the Dolphins can contend? Barry Jackson said that Campbell would consider Miami. He played his college ball at the University of Miami for the Hurricanes, and he liked playing in this system and locker room this past year. But if Campbell does return to the NFL, you'd have to assume at his age, 38 years old, he's not doing it unless it's playing for a team that he believes will be in the postseason competing for a Super Bowl. Does Campbell believe Miami will bounce back in 2025 and make the playoffs? Because remember, there was the buzz out there late in the year that if Miami was eliminated from postseason contention before the end of the regular season, Miami might have released him so he could join a contender for a playoff run. And if Campbell views Miami as a team that can't win a Super Bowl, then he probably won't re-sign with the Dolphins. But if he does, maybe he will return if he decides to play another season. And boy, do I hope he does. And we will have you covered on when he decides to retire or to not retire, return to Miami, not to return to Miami. So hit that sub button because free agency is a month away, and we're the #1 spot on YouTube for Dolphins free agency coverage. So join us now.